about some feeling words in your head or how this character feels, right? If you have an idea of how this character feels, put your finger on your nose. Love it. Very good job. Okay, tell me, have we worked on this question before?
Yes.
Yes, we have, right? Have we practiced answering this question before?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, what do we use when we answer a question like this?
Race.
Race. Very good. We're using our parts of race to help us answer this question in a strong way. So before I begin, I'm going to show you some examples today of some people answering this question. And I want you to help me decide who did a really great job and maybe who needs a little bit more work, okay? And if you can help me figure out what parts they need help on, that would be great, okay? But before we do, hang on just a second, Lily Beth. Before we do, I want to set up some criteria for our answer, okay? So when I think about looking at my answer, there's a couple of things that I'm looking for, okay? I'm going to put my criteria up here on the board. Everybody ready? Okay. I'm going to look for a good feeling word. What would be some examples of a feeling word? Raise your hand and tell me. Sean, what would be an example of a feeling word?
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed. I like that one. Gracie?
Sad.
Sad. Excellent.
Frightened.
Frightened. Very good feeling word. Nervous. That's one you were thinking of?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Michael?
Angry.
Angry. Y'all are doing some excellent words. I love that you're changing it up from that boring old happy and sad, right? We don't want to use those boring old happy and sad words. Okay? So I'm going to be looking for my feeling word. I'm definitely going to be looking for my different parts of race, right? Remind me again, what does race mean? Chloe, what does the R mean?
Restate the question.
And what does that mean? Restate the question.
Take part of the question to write
and turn it into a sentence, a telling sentence, right? Very good. What about my A, Cameron?
You answer the question.
And what about my A? My A is the most important part. And what happens if I get my A wrong?
You get
Everything else is wrong, right? So that's my most important part. I really want to focus on that part. Gracie, what about C?
Cite evidence from the story.
Cite evidence from the story. Because when we cite evidence from the story, what are we doing? We're proving our answer. And one of the things that we've been working on, we talked about this yesterday, one of the things that we've been working on is you're doing a great job of taking evidence from the story, but what's our problem?
Well, we're not taking the right evidence.
Some of us are not really picking the right evidence. It's important which evidence you pick. You can't just copy any old part from the story. It has to be the part that helps your answer. Very good. And what about my E, Jacob?
And it has to make sense.
And it has to make sense. Very good. Can you tell me about my E?
You have to restate.
No, my E.
It has to relate from your life.
Has to relate to your life. So I'm going to give an example of how this story might relate to my life so I can really think about how that character feels. And maybe one day I felt that way too, right?
Like an
Okay.
example, like saying the first day of school was kind of scary for me because there were new people and I didn't know my way around.
Very good job. Now, next to this C, because we just talked about that, I'm going to put right evidence. Because not just any old evidence is going to work. It has to be the right evidence to support my answer. Okay? Alright, are we ready? Remember I told you before I was going to give you some examples and you were going to help me figure out if they did a good job or not. Right? Okay, and we're going to use some smiley faces to help us out. We're going to use a happy face for a really strong answer. We're going to use a straight face for what?
That's so good.
Maybe they can prove a little bit, right? And what about our
Sad face.
a sad face?
Yeah.
Or maybe our weak answer.
Like you didn't know nothing.
Okay.
You didn't do your best on that.
Didn't do your best. I like the way you described that, Lisa. Maybe they didn't do their very best. Okay. Okay. So here is my first example. Okay. And when I look at these, I'm going to be thinking about this criteria in my head. Does it have all of this? Right?
How do you know which
Okay.
one to follow?
let's put this one up. Okay? I'm going to give you a second to read it to yourself. I'll make it a little bit bigger so it'll be easier to read. Okay. Now I'm going to read it to you. Are you ready? Read my question to me again.
Describe how the little girl feels about going to school in the beginning of the story. Use details of the story to support your answer.
Remember, support your answer. It says use details, Kaylin. Use details from the story. Sit up. To support your answer. Okay? To support your answer. Alright, so let's look at this person's answer. Okay? Listen to it. The little girl feels nervous because she is going to a new school.
Yeah.
I know because the story says, of course you're going, honey. For example, I blew bubbles before too.
Sad face. Sad face.
Okay, before we pick a face, let's go through our criteria. Are we ready? Okay. Feeling word.
Yes.
Do you see a feeling word in this answer?
Yes.
What is my feeling word?
Nervous.
Nervous. Okay, so I'm going to circle that because I did do that part. Nervous, and you picked it out. Very good job. Okay? So I can put a check mark next to my feeling word, can I?
Yeah.
Okay. Now my R. Restate the question. The little girl feels blank because blank. Did she do that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to put a check next to my R. Okay. What about my answer?
No. It's mixed.
Okay, it's mixed in with my R. Now let's decide. Did they use the appropriate feeling word?
Yes.
Did the little girl feel nervous?
Yes.
Okay. Did she feel nervous because she's going to a new school?
Yes.
So what about their answer? They did a good job?
Yes.
Okay.
They kind of did a good job.
Do you think their answer is wrong or right?
Right. A
Okay.
little bit.
Just the answer part we're looking at. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about her C. Well, I really like that they began their C with what? I know because the story says. So they did a good job. Let's look at what evidence they cited. Of course you're going, honey.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
No.
Okay.
They said
Does that evidence support that you know she feels nervous?
No.
Okay, it did say that in the book. You're right. It did say that in the book. But is this the right evidence to cite?
No.
Remember my criteria was it has to be the right evidence.
They said that it's just, if you're going to give your example, you'd have to say, I know because the story said da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
And
But is this evidence, is this the right evidence to pick from the story
No,
to
it's
prove that they know she feels nervous?
because
you know who actually said this part? The dad. The dad said this part,
Because it
right?
said, of course you're going, honey.
Does that prove that she's nervous?
No, you have to say, I know because the story says she felt nervous and pulled the
I have
covers
to
over
say
her head.
something that says about how she felt
like
nervous,
you could
right?
Say, I know because the story said she pulled the covers over her head.
Okay, so
and
maybe
said,
that
"I
would
don't
be
wanna
some
go."
evidence that proved that she was
Yeah,
nervous when she pulled the covers over her head? Okay, so we don't like this, see?
No.
Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I need to see what we're thinking. Good evidence or maybe not so much the right evidence?
She could have done better on that.
She could have done better on that?
Yeah, she could have
So
said.
let's put a little X next to that one. Okay? What about her E? Freeze and listen. Her E says, for example, which I like that she started with for example. For example, I blew bubbles before too.
That's not right evidence.
Good. I want some raised hands. Ada, what do you think about that example?
No, because for the E, you have to actually explain something that happened in the story. You can't just make up that.
You can't just make up any old thing?
No, you have to.
Okay, so what's wrong with I blew bubbles before too?
Oh, it didn't say it in the beginning.
That doesn't relate this story to my life, does it? Did this story talk about blowing bubbles?
No.
No.
That's not.
All right, so what should I put next to my E?
That's what we said.
All right. Now, let's take a look at how they two X's.
Oh,
What would you give this one? Okay, so give me a number 1 if you would give it a happy face, a number 2 for a straight face, or number 3 for a sad face. What are we thinking? Show me, show me. I'm looking, I'm looking. Okay, I'm seeing mostly 2s. She did a really good job with her feeling word. She did her R, and remember we talked about how her A was the most important part, right? And she got that part right. So I think we should give this one a
smiley face.
A smiley face?
No!
Oh, a straight face, okay.
I keep getting confused.
Alright, straight face, got it? Okay. Let's take a look at my next one. I've got 2 more. Okay. Same question, same story. You ready?
Okay.
The little girl feels happy because she is going to a new school. You've never been there before.
Oh, she missed something.
She missed something.
She forgot her, for example.
Now, we cannot just give it a happy, a straight, or a sad because we haven't gone through our criteria yet. Okay? So let's start over with our criteria. Okay? Now, wait, what did you say, Nadia?
She has the wrong feeling word.
She has the wrong feeling word. So did they give a feeling word?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was happy.
It was happy.
To the right feeling
Abby,
word.
what's wrong with happy? Why can't, that's a feeling word.
But she didn't feel happy.
But she didn't feel happy? So what should we put next to our feeling word? X, okay? Because she used a feeling word, but just because you use one doesn't mean it's okay. It has to be the right one, okay? So we're going to put an X next to that.
Okay. Boring.
All right? It didn't say she felt happy. Oh, okay. So let's go on to our R. The little girl feels happy because she is going to a new school. Now, we're just looking at the R. Did she restate? I know she's got her feeling word wrong, but did she restate the question?
No.
Yes, because it says, how did the little girl feel? And it says, the little girl feels because one. Okay, so did she restate her question?
Yes.
All right, so what should I put next to my R? A check, okay. All right, Kaya. What about her A? What's her A? What part of this is her A?
You've never been there before.
That's her A?
She really isn't really saying the right A.
She's not really saying the right A? Okay, so let's look at it. The little girl feels happy because she is going to a new school.
No.
So we already said she got her feeling word wrong. Well, isn't her feeling word part of the A? And if her feeling word's wrong, then what's wrong with her answer? Her answer has to be wrong too. Kaylin, I need you to sit up. All the way. Okay.
If her answer's wrong, it's everything's wrong.
Okay. So what should I put next to the A? Okay.
And a restate.
All right.
That's wrong.
Now, let's take a look at our C. What do we usually, Jenna, what do we usually start our C with? No, with our C. What do we start our C with? I know because the story says. Do we see that in here?
No. Oh, we see
that. But I do see evidence. Do you know what tells me that there's evidence?
Yes. Her little thingy.
The little quotation marks. That tells me that I copied from my story, right? Okay. So this is what she copied. You've never been there before.
It didn't say that.
It did say that.
It did say that, but that was really the dad saying that.
Okay, the dad's saying that.
It's not the right evidence.
It's not the right evidence?
It's not the right evidence. She didn't use it. I know because the story said.
Okay. And is this the right evidence?
No.
Does this tell me why she's nervous?
No.
No. So what about my C?
If she did use it, I know because she would have gotten a little bit better at it.
Okay.
Instead, she just said, you've never been there.
Right. Alright. So Jada, what about the example? She didn't do it at all?
No.
There's no example?
If she did her example, she would have had something and she would have had 4 examples.
It would have said 4 examples. So what can I put next to my E?
X. This is a sad face.
Alright. Wait, I need you to tell me. Raise your hand. Have we gone through all of our criteria?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we're looking at all our criteria, How do we feel about this one?
Sad.
All right, remember a 1, 2, or a 3. 3 for a sad, 1 for a happy, 2 for a straight. Hold them up so I can see. I agree. I think this is a 3, which is a what?
Sad face.
This person could really do a little bit better, right?
Yeah, that person knows.
All right, last one.
Sad face.
All right, here we go. I'm going to erase my criteria so I can recheck. I can't give it a face until I check. Okay? All right, here we go. Same question, same story. The little girl feels nervous because she is going to a new school. I know because the story says, I don't know anybody and it will be hard and I just hate it, that's all. For example, I have been to a new school and been nervous too.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. And you can't say yes until we go through our criteria. Okay? All right, let's take a look. First part, feeling word.
Yes.
All right, what feeling word did she use? Nervous. And do we agree that she felt nervous?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what do I put next to my feeling word?
Check.
A check. Very good. Okay. All right. Let's talk about my R.
Yeah.
Did she restate the question?
Yes.
Michael, how do you know she restated the question?
Because it says the little girl feels like because she is going to a new school.
Okay, I like that. Very good. So what do we think about our R?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now our A, the most important part. The most important part. Gracie, what did she use as her answer? What was her answer? How did she answer this question?
She is going to a new school.
Okay, she feels nervous because she's going to a new school. Is that right?
Yes.
Does she feel nervous?
Yes.
Is it because she's going to a new school?
Yes.
Okay, so what do I think about my A?
Yes.
All right.
Good check.
Okay. Uh-oh, now this is the part that we've been kind of messing up on. So let's really pay attention to this part, okay? I know because the story says, read it with me, I don't know anybody and it will be hard and I just hate it. And she has I know because the story said. Excellent. Now, is this, now we have to decide. We know she cited, okay? But does this part of the story prove that you know she feels nervous about it? Okay. So what am I going to put next to my C? A check. Okay. One more part. All right. E. Sean, help me out on the E part. What part is the E? Read it to me.
For example, I have been to a new school and been nervous too.
Love it. Now let me ask you a question, Sean. Do you think that's an appropriate example?
Yes.
Why? What is an example supposed to do?
Relate to your life.
Relate to your life. Relate that story to your life. Does this example relate that story to her life? Because what's in common?
Nervous.
They both felt nervous. They both felt nervous when they went to a new school. So I think that takes a real life story and this story and kind of connects them, right? All right, so what should I put next to my E? A check. Okay. All right. Now that I have finished going through my criteria, show me with your fingers what you would give this answer. Now, if this answer was worth 2 points total, how many points would you give it? How many points would you give it if it was worth 2? 2. 2. Because what?
Because it's a good.
It's a good answer. It has all checks.
And it's good.
It's a good answer.
A film word is R and it's A and it's C.
And the A. Very good. So, what would you give this? Tell me. What? Smiling face. Very good.
And I think you should go back and put how many points they got on there. Like
okay, so how many points would this person get?
2.
2, okay.